IT for Business is on AI for Good Summit at Geneva. We are with Nicole Amaral. Nicole, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Nicole, you are Senior Manager Global Skills Transformation at Coursera. Could you remind us what is Coursera?
Yeah, absolutely. Coursera is a global online learning platform. We serve about 200 million learners today across the entire globe, and we have content from about over 13,000 different courses today from over 300 different university and industry partners that create content that's hosted on the Coursera platform. So we have learners who come to Coursera on their own looking to upskill and reskill themselves. But we also have around almost 7,000 institutions, businesses, campuses, as well as governments who leverage Coursera to deploy many different types of upskilling, reskilling programs for their specific learner groups as well.
AI is the hottest topic in the industry when we talk about tech. How many courses on AI can we find on Coursera?
A lot. So we have over 3,000 courses on AI alone. Coursera actually also just acquired Udemy, which is another large global online learning platform. So that number will more than double when that integration is complete. But those 3,000 courses are developed by a range of different industry partners like Google, IBM, AWS, as well as, more recently we've brought on content from OpenAI and Anthropic as well. So the list keeps growing and it keeps becoming more complex and more diverse in terms of the skills that we cover within AI.
Nicole, who are your learners? Are there most male, most female? Are there more in the US, more in China, more in Europe, more in Latin America?
Yeah, so our learners are global, and we, in terms of those who are learning AI, a lot in AI-specific skills on the platform, we see around 50% of that demand is really concentrated in India, as well as the United States. And then that 50% is, between those two countries. And then dispersed throughout the remaining 50% throughout the world, really. But we're seeing increasing demand from Asia Pacific in particular when it comes to AI skills. Gender is an interesting topic as well. We do see overall on Coursera a parity in terms of enrollment in our general course content, but when it comes to AI, we see slightly more demand from learners who identify as male. But when we see that women do enroll, we see parity on their actual completion and the proficiency levels that they reach in AI. So it's kind of an interesting phenomenon that shows that the barrier may be for women more about access than it is about ability, right? Their interest and their access to content in AI.
What are the most popular courses people want to listen to when they connect, and especially AI courses?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what those are, but I also want to spend a minute talking a little bit about skills. So we don't just talk about courses, but really the skills that those are teaching. So, within our industry developed content, we've seen AI Essentials by Google kind of rise to the top. We've seen kind of consistent demand for a lot of our professional certificates. These are slightly longer micro-credentials, a series of courses that end with an additional kind of labor market valued credential. So these from both Google and IBM, especially around data science and AI are very popular in the platform. But the kind of all-time most popular AI course still is called AI for Everyone from Andrew Ng at Stanford. So those are kind of the courses. But we also see some interesting patterns when you start to kind of disaggregate a little bit by types of learners and their motivation for being on the platform. And with this, I like to think a little bit more in terms of skills rather than specific courses. So what we see is if we look at our business learners, for example, these are learners who are sponsored by their companies. They are looking to have their employees develop specific skills. They sponsor their learning on Coursera, and they define what the program is that they're going to be learning. And in those learners, what we see is a shift from this overall interest in just AI literacy, or what is AI, like the AI for Everyone courses, to those that are more about the application of AI in the workplace. So we're seeing skills around responsible AI workflows, LLM applications, kind of rising in demand amongst this specific group of these target groups of learners, as well as some human skills. So alongside those kind of AI deployment related skills, we see critical thinking and communication also being kind of rising with those other skills almost in parity, as people start to think about, how do we also help people think about, what a role does human judgment play in this as well. So we see both, the course content tells a bigger picture story about, what people are coming to learn overall. But when we start to see, specific groups of learners, we see some different patterns like that emerge, and more focus on that AI deployment amongst our business learners in particular.
Nicole, one last question. How do you think AI will impact the way people learn things? Because we know that people are learning a lot about AI, but it can be a tool to learn better, more effectively. So how will AI impact the new way of learning things?
Yeah, it's impacting it in so many different ways. I'll talk a little bit about how we see it impacting learning on something like a global online learning platform that's largely kind of a self-paced learning platform. So, and it is pretty fundamentally reshaping a lot of it. So there's kind of three levels at which I see this happening, which is, how we learn, how we get learners to the right content and skills, and also, how we verify that they have developed those skills that they want to develop. So in terms of how they learn, some of the things that we've been doing on the Coursera platform is, really thinking about how we use AI to drive engagement, to deepen learning, and to deepen completion of courses. So one of these is embedding what we call Coursera AI. It's an AI tutor that is trained within the Coursera environment. It does not go external into any other, it stays specifically into the content that can help learners overcome obstacles within their learning, which is one of the reasons we see sometimes learners stop their learning or drop off, is because something's difficult and they need support. So the AI tutor can help them without giving them the answers, without hallucinating responses. It's really well trained on that course content to help them generate practice questions to prepare for
like some kind of substitute teacher.
Yeah, almost sort of like a companion throughout that can help, without telling them, hey, this is the answer to this, can generate activities, can generate summaries, can help them unpack a difficult concept so that they can continue to progress in that course. Another way that we're doing that is embedding new types of activities. So we have what's called role plays and Socratic dialogues that put a learner in the shoes of a role that they want to get into. Let's say you want to enter sales, but you don't know how to deliver a sales pitch. Instead of just taking a course that tells you, well, here's how you do it, you actually have the ability to practice that and get real-time feedback and engagement in your pitch via these AI dialogues that we've been embedding. So that's kind of the how we learn. And then just quickly on the getting learners to the right content, as well as kind of verification and assessment, we're increasingly using AI to help learners personalize their journey within Coursera. So not just relying on, maybe detailed search terms, but rather for a learner to, in natural language, articulate what it is that their learning goals are, potentially even take a kind of baseline assessment that can tell them, here's where you are in your skills or your level in these skills, and then get that learner to the right content at the right level so that they have the most efficient and also most engaging experience that really helps drive the learning that they want to have. So those are some of the ways that we're innovating in the platform to kind of transform the way in which learners learn with AI.
Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome.
Thank you.